Hi Gemini, welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot with me. My name is Carol and this is going to be a general reading for you for July 2025. And in today's reading I'm going to be using the ARIES Tarot and I'm going to clarify that with the Radiant Rider-Waite. Whoa. And we're going to be doing the Yellow Cardinal Cross, and so I'm going to be start off by looking for an issue that you're dealing with, whether it's a decision you have to make, could be some sort of challenge, problem you're facing, pattern maybe that's showing up in your life, and maybe some emotions that are going on. So we're going to look at that, and then I'm going to immediately clarify that with another card, and it's going to tell me a little bit more. Or it'll tell me, what's blocking this situation. And then in the third spot, I'm going to look at the conscious influence on the situation, which means I'm going to tell you what you're aware of, what's going on around this situation. And might not be something that, you're really, maybe it could be something you're in denial about. And so you'll probably go, oh, okay, yeah, that's right. That's what's going on. So I'll point that out to you. And then I'm going to look at the unconscious influence, which means it's something that you're not aware of because it's sitting in your shadow. And your shadow is the part of you that you've pushed away a lot of things about yourself that maybe when you were growing up, people told you certain things about yourself that you pushed away and you don't want to look at. It's where our trauma sits, our memories, our big emotions. And a lot of our gifts are sitting in our shadow as well. And so that's going to tell me how that's influencing, because believe it or not, the unconscious is what manifests the majority of all our external patterns and these cycles that we go through in life. And so that'll tell you what's going on for healing, and you'll see how it relates to what you're battling with. And then we're going to look at what's needed for resolution, and then some guidance from the tarot. And I'll also leave you with some playlists from my other channel that I do called Carol Cares, and that'll give you just a little bit more information if you want to look at some of those videos and see something that's pertaining to what's going on in your reading. And at the end, I'm going to pick an oracle card, return a spirit from here. Actually, I'll pick it at the beginning and I will read it at the end. And I think that's it. And I do want to apologize for coming out late with this reading. I have been, first of all, this room is not air conditioned, so it's been really hot here. And secondly, I've been sick, and I also pulled my Achilles, so I have been in a little bit of pain and under the weather, and I'm just starting to get back to myself right now. So let's go. I'll set out your reading for you, and then I'll put it on speed shuffle, and I'll be back in just a minute or so. Okay, Gemini, I am back. And so let's start off with your issue that you're dealing with. And I got the Chariot card in reverse for you. And so the Chariot card talks about this individual that has been, and this, shows this particular deck, the ARIES Tarot, takes a snapshot of the Rider-Waite. And this is the charioteer that has been, trying to get these sphinxes to move, and they're all cement and they're not even looking in the same, straight ahead, and they've been sitting there for a long time, and he's been using his willpower alone. It's almost like if you picture someone that is trying to move cement with their mind, and it gets to a point where, it gets really tough, and you just start hitting these walls because you're trying to control things with your mind. And I think it gets to a point where, in reverse now, where it's like you realize I can't do this anymore. Like I can't continue to control this situation. There's some situation here that you're trying to control. You've been trying to control for a long time. And it's like, I can't do this anymore. I don't have the answers. And so the Chariot talks about movement, but it talks about movement in a different way, because you've hit the brick wall here and you've realized, okay, I have no control. It's like I'm giving up here, but there's another place where you can go for some answers. It's not up here, it's in here. It's your inner guidance, which is called your intuition. So the Chariot talks about doing that inward journey, going inwards, getting in touch with, what's inside, where there's your answer. Yeah, so I'm wondering if it's in reverse. So I'm wondering if, there is some fear on your part. There might be a resistance on your part to doing that inward journey, to going inwards, to get some answers rather than trying to control everything with your mind. And, our ego self, who does this to us, will convince us that, no, this is the way you need to do it. You need to continue to try to control this particular situation that you're in with your mind. And the Fool card comes up next, which is an interesting card for a clarifier. And it's like, okay, you have been trying to control this all your life. But what if, the Fool says, what if there's another option here? Like, why don't you just take that leap of faith and say, okay, I'm going for this. I'm going to do that inward journey. I want to go inside. I want to find out, why do I keep on trying to control this with my mind? Is there something else I need to know? Is there something else I need to feel about this? And so it's like really a call to go inwards, get into your body rather than being stuck up here. And the Fool says, take that leap of faith, go for it. And this Fool is number 0 in the major arcana, and it can come anywhere in the reading. That's what's, special about the Fool, that it's like it's this almost this push off the cliff and says, you are ready now. You are ready because you have come up to this brick wall, and you know what? It's time to go inwards to start to get some answers. But the Devil card comes out here, interestingly enough, and it's in reverse in an upright position. It talks about there are things in our life that we are attached to, and a lot of times it's our addictions, because our addictions, and we can make an addiction over anything. If we over excess, if we take something in excess, whether it's, something we ingest in our body or something we do, like binge on Netflix, or, something out there in the exterior world. We can even, get addicted to people. There's all kinds of things we can have for addictions. But what they do is they block our pain. They block us from, and the pain and our emotions sit in our body. And they numb us out for the time being. But it's like, I'm wondering if even your addictions are kind of, it's in reverse here. So I'm thinking, I think it's like maybe you're realizing that, even you can't even, like, you're getting to a point where, like, maybe your addiction isn't working anymore, or, you can have a few addictions sometimes. And it's like, it's still like, I know for myself, my overeating was my biggest addiction all my life, with many others. But it was like, it came to a point where even that, there was no food, not enough food in the world for me to be able to numb this pain that was coming up. And it was time for me to start to do the inward journey and start to feel some of this stuff. And it's like, the universe is saying, now's the time. And that's what's coming up for you in July. And so, what are you consciously aware of? What's the conscious influence on this? Well, the 8 of Swords is here, and here in upright position, you have this individual who is tied up. She thinks she's completely, it's an individual that thinks they can't get out of this situation. So much so that you're almost become like frozen, and whatever this situation is, you feel you don't see a way out. You do not see a way out. And so, like, you've hit this wall, and you're being asked to go inwards and start to, maybe get in touch with your intuition and feel some of these emotions that you're feeling. But, you are consciously aware that you're feeling so tied up that you just don't even see a way out. It's almost like you've given up totally. And the Two of Swords is here, came sideways for me. And Two of Swords talks about this individual that is so much in their head. They've put this blindfold on. They've crossed their heart. And it's like, and Swords is all about our mental energy. So it's like, there's no way I'm feeling anymore. I'm going to be stuck in my head. I'm staying up here. I'm going to try to control the situation. And you don't see a way out of it. Like, it's really a tough, painful spot to be in. And it came in sideways here. So it's like, this can go either way. And almost like to the point where, it's going to do you in. And look at the water in the background of this card. So much water. Water talks about our emotions and how emotions come in and we feel them and we process them and we let them flow. And nobody likes to hear that word emotions, but that's how we get through our stuff, is by feeling our stuff. But you don't even want to look at any of these emotions that are coming up for you right now. You just feel so stuck. Page of Pentacles comes up next. It's in reverse because it's blocked, and the page is an inner child. In particular, it reminds us of our inner child when we were 4, 5, 6 years old, had the pentacle in their hand, which meant they knew what it felt like to be grounded. We were grounded at that age. We were grounded in our body. Kids that are playing on the beach when they're 4, 5, 6 years, they're grounded in their body, right? And then somehow, when we're younger, we become ungrounded. And I think right now that there's this inner child of yours that, once upon a time when they were younger were grounded, but they're very ungrounded. They have some memories of when they became stuck up in their head. And I think there's some inner child of yours that's trying to get your attention because it needs healing. Because, it knew who they were when they were younger, before they became ungrounded. So it's like there's something going on with an inner child of yours that is saying, yeah, when you were younger, something happened, and maybe we'll find out what it is here in our unconscious that caused you to go up in your head. Our ego, when we're younger, will pull us up in our head if we have too much going on in our body when we're younger, like these big emotions that we can't handle. So our ego will pull us out and dissociate us. And that's exactly what happened, because here's the King of Wands. I talked too fast, too much. This card wanted to come out. It was bent, and it was like, I got to remember to say that, because when I was shuffling, I only asked for 2 cards. But this one came out with the Page of Pentacles, and it was bent, and it was like, I'm coming out. It's the King of Wands, and that is the masculine side of us. That's our ego self. And so your ego self right now is blocking you from taking this step. It has a wand here, and that's about our creative purpose, going in a direction for ourselves. And for some reason, you're feeling so trapped, still up in your head, feeling like I can't control the situation, and your ego self is keeping you up there. But so much of what you need to do is to go into your body and go inwards, like this Chariot card said right here. The first card, let's not forget, the first card of the reading was the Chariot, and your resistance to going inwards. And so what is coming up from, what is the conscious influence here? Because what you need to realize is that this is what's manifesting this whole situation of you feeling trapped and trying to control something and you can't. So when you were younger, when you were young, an adolescent or young child, here's the Three of Pentacles. And the Three of Pentacles in my deck, because it's a healing channel that refers to co-creating with someone, working together with someone. And I often like to say it's my therapy card about, getting into therapy so that you can get some help. Well, I'm going to say that the help that you needed when you're younger, not necessarily therapy, I'm just saying help in general, having someone there by your side to validate you and to help you with these big emotions that come up when you're younger, or situations that happen to you. Well, you didn't have that because it's sitting over here. You lacked that help that you needed when you were younger. And it's, I think I'm going to get a bit more information. We get the Ten of Pentacles underneath that. It's very interesting because the Ten of Pentacles speaks about It's a generational card, first of all. It has 3 different generations on this card. And so, but what's really important is the formation of the pentacles. This is a Kabbalistic tree of life, and it's from the Jewish culture. It's very important to understanding this card, because the Kabbalistic tree of life is like a study, and each one of these pentacles or nodes on the tree of life represents like a certain study that the Jewish people do, and it brings them back to their lineage and who they are. So it's a study in who you are. And so this card for me represents things that are handed down from generation to generation. It could be generational trauma, things that are handed down to you from generation to generation. And you get the 3 of Pentacles at the top because, you know, this whole thing about having support and validation, and maybe that's something that was kind of, you know, if you look at your caretakers when you were younger, whether they're your parents or, you know, your family, and you know, look at the generations that went before them and how they weren't supported and why they weren't supported, because the Hierophant card came in sideways here. The Hierophant card speaks about this papal figure and how he's telling these disciples below, you know, certain things, and they're just listening. They're like sponges. And the same thing with you when you were younger. Like, what were you told? What were you taught generationally by people around you? This card is about how you were wired when you were younger. So how were you wired? What is it about the way you were raised and about, you know, generations before you, and how you were wired maybe to not have support? I need one more card. As I put those out, I thought this is an interesting combination, but I want one more card to tell me about this generational trauma maybe, and how you were wired. Give me one more card to just clarify this a bit more. It's interesting because when I looked at those 2 cards, I was like, it was an odd combination, especially with the 3 of Pentacles on the top. So there we go. Well, you got the Lover's card. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so the Lover's card speaks about it speaks about the masculine, and it speaks about the feminine here. You know, there's 2 different, it's a choice. This is a choice card. And so here is the masculine figure who's looking straight ahead, and the feminine looks up to the divine, right? Up. It's not a religious card at all. It's just that they're looking up, and the feminine is very intuitive. It's one of her qualities, and she'll get her inner guidance. And we're talking about going inwards to get some more guidance here. And she'll look upwards and get her guidance from up above. And so these are the 2 parts of you right here. It's called the Lover's card, and it really is a card that says, you know, you have a choice to go inwards, and you have that choice to go inwards and start to get in touch with the feminine side to you and the masculine and those 2 parts of you. So what I'm reading here, what I'm seeing is, obviously this is a card from your childhood, but it's almost like there was, I think, a part of you that wasn't at all and that's with a lot of us, where the feminine side of us was not something that was valued or even considered. Like this whole thing about follow your intuition and get into your body and feeling your emotions. Those are all feminine side of us. And so I'm wondering here if that was really something that was, and this is a general reading, so somehow this was in your, I mean, like I said, it's in something generational here that was handed down to you, where that was not encouraged at all when you were younger. And, you know, here's that 3 of Pentacles where I said it's like a therapy card or helping figure, or so you didn't have that helping figure in your life when you were younger that would have introduced you to, you know, that feminine side of you that would have been in touch with their emotions and would have been in touch with their authentic self. and would have had a good understanding of who you were. It would have been nourished. And so I can see that is what's sitting in your shadow. And so now there's this whole, now I get it now. There's this whole pull towards you going inwards. You know, this Chariot says it's time to go inwards, to get out of your head now and go inwards so you can get some answers. That's the feminine quality in you, you know, your intuition. And you're feeling right now like you're absolutely stuck in your head, because I think to go inwards and to get in touch with this part of your body, where the feminine is, where our emotions are and our creativity and our authenticity, is like, well, that's such a foreign thing to me, because the way I was wired was so far from that. And so it's like a foreign thing, if this makes sense to you. It's like a foreign thing where it's like, I feel absolutely trapped because I don't know where to go. And that's your resistance, and that's your ego saying, oh, don't you go there, because that's what you were taught when you were younger, not to go into your body. So, it's a lot, I just said. What is needed for resolution? Well, you have the Page of Swords, which is another inner child. You have the Page of Pentacles here, and now you're getting the Page of Swords. This is an inner child of yours with the sword. This is a child, and you can have more than one inner child. This is the child that, your inner child that knew who they were. They had at 4, 5, 6 years old, you knew who you were. You have the sword of authenticity in your hand here. Your truth. You knew who you were when you were really younger. And this particular child needs healing about that. You lost, when you were younger, the ability to know who you were, right? You weren't, for you to have told, to not be encouraged at all to even go into your body or any of those things. And authenticity is one of the qualities of our feminine side, being authentic. And so you have another inner child here that's saying, I need some healing around that, because you lost the sense of who you were, your true self. And you have this Knight of Swords, no surprise. Look at this Knight of Swords right behind it. Look at the look on that individual's face. Looks very, very determined, doesn't it? The Knight in my deck is what I call a freedom fighter. It's that part of us. It's like a teenage part of us that wants nothing more than to be authentic. Teenagers want to be themselves. They want to be free. They don't want to conform to anything. They want freedom, and they don't want to feel their pain. They want pain from freedom. They'll do anything to break free from anybody that's controlling them. And that's what's going on with you right now. This is what's needed for resolution, is for you to allow your part of you that wants that freedom to go. And that's that Fool, right? That Fool energy to just go for it. Because there's a part of you that, your authentic part, who you really are, is bursting to come through. You have the Seven of Swords as the last card here of what's needed for resolution. And it's in reverse, but in an upright position. This is the Thief card, who's running away with all these swords. Swords are our mental thoughts, our mental energy. And it's carrying 5 of them by the tips. Is very, very dangerous. And so this individual has run away with all these mental thoughts in their head that people told them when they were younger. So when you were younger, we talked about the Hierophant card and how you were wired. So all these things that you were told when you were younger, you continue to spin them in your head, and they're very dangerous, right? They've got to a point where they're, you need to take a look at what are these things that you continue to tell yourself that the things that you were wired to believe when you were younger, but they're not true. And you can sit here and your ego can spin things in your head and say, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Don't listen to me. But that's your ego. And there are things here that you have adopted, inherited, things that people said to you when you were younger that you continue to believe about yourself. And that's who you think you are. And that's why this reading is so much about authenticity and getting back to your authenticity. So let's look at some guidance from the tarot. Well, the first one is the Ace of Cups. And so this is the, is it the third ace? Nope, you have pages, and it's the second one right now. Yeah, the second ace. And so this is the Ace of Cups. And the ace, like I said, is an offer from the universe. Did you get another ace? Hold on. Page, it's pages. I'm getting mixed up with pages. Okay, so an ace, it's your first one. It's an offer from the universe. It's a gift from the universe. It's the cup. The cup is all about our emotions, our desires, our wishes, right? And it's here's another offer from the universe, and it's the guidance from the tarot. It says, now's the time. I know you're rejecting this. I know you have a fear of this. You're feeling very trapped to go inwards. The Hermit card, or the Chariot card. Let's not forget the Chariot card, right? That movement inwards. Because it's time for you to feel. It's time for you to start to feel. Two of Swords. Remember being all stuck up in your head and refusing to feel these emotions. What is it that you refuse to feel? If whatever it is that's been handed down to you from generation to generation, that, by the way, would have discouraged you feeling and your emotions, because that's a feminine side to us. And so now it's time. The universe says, well, it's time for you to feel, because you have two inner children that need healing. And so you need to feel for them. And that's how we heal our inner children. You have a Five of Cups here, which is someone that's been sitting in this position for a while now and focusing on these 3 cups that have been spilled. Someone that's very much cloaked in darkness, almost like the dark night of the soul, right? Not seeing the silver lining over here, this bridge, and not seeing this water that's flowing. Those are emotions that are meant to flow. Your emotions are meant to flow. So if you're feeling a real, I'm going to say maybe loneliness or depression, and you would if you have the 8 of Swords here, where you just don't see a way out. I mean, you can feel like, why bother? You want to give up, and I don't know what to do anymore. And this is kind of the card where you've just you've given up, and so you must be sitting in a lot of depression and hopelessness right now, thinking you cannot get out of this. And so guidance from the tarot is, we need to look at this right now. And the last one is the Queen of Cups. And I don't think I talked about the Queen. I talked about the King being your... did I talk about the Queen? No, I didn't. So I talked about the King being your ego. The Queen is the feminine side. I did talk a bit about her with the Lovers card. So this is the Queen, the feminine side, and she has the cup in her hand. So look how the water is beautifully flowing at her feet. She's not afraid to feel. She makes all her decisions from her intuition, from her body, from her emotions. She feels all her emotions. And so this part of you, it wants to come out. This Queen is coming out for you because, she's been repressed in this for a long time. And so I'm seeing here that there's a pull towards getting, going towards who you really are, and having to heal some of these inner children by feeling what they need to feel, what they needed to feel when they were younger. And so I'm going to leave you with a playlist on grounding. I think it's important that you learn how to get into your body, because if you're not in your body, you won't be able to feel. You have to be in your body to feel. And this particular video, there's one in there where I take you in my backyard and I tell you how to ground your mind, because right now you're not grounded in your mind, and then you can ground into your body. And so I'll do a video on grounding, and then I want to read the card for you. So the oracle card that came out for you is sexuality. Your sexuality is just as important as any other aspect of your being. It's so important, in fact, that not one, but 2 chakras manage and maintain your sexual energy. Loving sexual contact is vital for your emotional, physical, and energetic well-being. It can be one of the greatest pleasures and joys of being incarnated in a human body. You're being asked to look at your desires, your beliefs, or wounds around your sexual needs. If you are feeling inadequate, unwanted, or unattractive, then it's time to begin a regime of self-love. It is time to restore any low self-worth and negative programming you have about your physical body. This card can also be indicative of neglecting your intimate and sexual connection with your partner. Perhaps this is the opportunity to resurrect the feelings of desire and sexual attraction that you once shared. It could also be letting you know that it's important to make your intimate life a priority. Sexual energy is a powerful expression of creative force. You may find that by allowing your sexual energy to flow, your creative energy will too. By embracing every aspect of being human, we discover the truth of our own divinity. And creativity, again, is a feminine side. And so there is a real push and a need for you to discover your feminine side, to get into your body, to start to feel some of these emotions that your inner children want you to feel. All right, so take care, Gemini. I will, this journey that you're on, it's the most difficult journey, this healing journey, but it's the most important one. So I'll talk soon and keep going. Bye-bye.